My guest on Talking Point tonight is Eric Chinje. He is a veteran journalist and also a member of the collective of intellectuals. Good evening. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Immaculate. It's a pleasure being here too. So I'm really happy to engage with you on at a time like this when the country is actually going through a very intense political season.
Eric Chinje, how did you and other members of the collective of intellectuals respond to President Bia's decision to run for office despite your call for him to step down in your first letter?
I am totally convinced that Mr. Bia will not run if he were to make that decision, because he will realize that he's old and tired, is not in good health, that would allow him to make the right decisions and to be as present as he ought to be. So I know that the president did not make that decision to run again. And if Mr. Ngongo thinks this is not true, let him come in, let us have a debate on this. Even better, let him bring the president out. Let President Biya come and engage with us, citizens. Let President Biya come and tell us why he thinks he can run after all these decades in power and what he will do differently that he's not been able to do. He's not been able to build good roads in Yaoundé in 40 years plus. He's not been able to provide basic services in the nation's capital, not even to talk of the rest of the country. Why would Mr. Biya want another mandate? He's entrusted things to a lot of his collaborators, and these collaborators have not delivered. So the first thing I would think, if the president were serious about running, if he wanted to run and was serious about running, the first thing he would want to do is throw out a lot of, not all, but a lot of the ministers. All of those who've not delivered. We know those who've not delivered. Throw them out. Throw out those who've stolen more money than a minister deserves to have. There are many of them. And if they challenge this, we're willing to challenge them.
Now, in your second statement, that is that of the collective of intellectuals, you people described Mr. Bia's decision to go in for an 8th term as provocation. Can you elaborate more on this?
The fact is, we do not think that he'll have an 8th term. He won't. I don't think he will. I don't think the Cameroonian people are that dumb. So what we're saying is a provocation is the very fact of even asking for an 8th term. The president should not be asking for an 8th term. And we happen to know that he has not asked for an 8th term. The enablers around the president, the enablers around Mr. Biya, have asked for an 8th term because they want the status quo. They want things to remain as they are. And we know it is wrong. Mr. Ngongo, Mr. Ayolo, Mr. I think it's Baboke, please, not only give the president a deserved rest, but allow the country to move on. Allow new ideas in an age of technology where technology can help us in so many ways. Please allow Cameroon to adapt those technologies to help us improve our agricultural production, improve our economy, improve our infrastructure, improve our health systems, improve our educational system. We can do all of that. We've got the money, the means, and we've got the technologies that we can adapt to help us improve all aspects of life in Cameroon. It's not going to be a miracle. It's not going to happen overnight, but we've got to start from somewhere. And it's only when we start the journey of 1,000 years that we will make that journey. We're not even on that road yet. So look, every Cameroonian listening to me, I am not against any other Cameroonian. I'm not against any leader in or out of government, but I'm against stagnation in Cameroon. I'm against a system that is unable to move the country forward. There are good men in government, good men and women in government. Give them a chance, even, but not under the system. A system run by an absentee president, a system run on haute instruction, whatever they call it, high instructions. I don't know. A system run on that. Let Mr. Ngongo, the Secretary General, and I speak. I mention him because he's the one signing those high instructions. Please give us a break. And I hope Cameroonians will say, enough is enough to move this country forward.
Of presidential aspirants in Cameroon suggest about the state of the opposition and its prospects for change.
Well, a large number tells you that everybody now thinks they can be president. That's what they think. They think that if Mr. Biya can be president, then the guy on the streets can be president. That's what the large number means. Can you see this happening under a young, vibrant, and strong Mr. Biya, Paul Biya, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Can you see this happening? No. It's happening because the man is no longer in charge. People know that. Whoever has run this country in the last 7 years has done a disastrous job. And everybody now thinks they can do a better job. Everybody. So we have 80 people who want to be president. 80. Because they think they can be. So it's enough of a sign to every Cameroonian that the role of president has been brought down to the mud.
What specific actions does the collective of intellectuals of Cameroon plan to take to promote your cause and challenge the current regime?
Well, look, we're pleading to the nation. Baba Wame pulled us together not to play politics, but to think about the country and to try to see what we could do to point out the ill, what is wrong with things as they are in Cameroon and how can we change them. If the politicians, it is their role, those running for president, to figure out the mix of policies that will result in a transformation of our society. But it is fairly obvious, almost any Cameroonian on the streets will tell you what they want to see. They want to see an economy that's vibrant, an economy that works for everybody, not an economy that works for a handful of people, the elite. They want to see our agricultural, which is the agriculture, which is the basis of our economy. We want to see an agricultural system that produces and transforms and takes and not only feeds Cameroonians, but sells to the world. We want to see that. And we've got what it takes to do it. We've got the soil. We can acquire the necessary technologies. So we want to see movement at that level. We want to see a tourism policy. We want to see tourism policies that encourage people to come to Cameroon. Look at Waza. Most of you young people, the younger people in Cameroon, and you're in the majority, I'm sure many of you have never heard of Waza. Waza used to be one of the jewels of our tourism infrastructure in Cameroon. People came to Cameroon to go see Waza, because Waza has more animal variety than the Serengeti. Go find out. But what has happened to Waza? We have no clue. Waza's just disappeared because of absence of attention, lack of appropriate policies, and the inability, the incompetence of those who are responsible for it. Look at the Menchum Falls. We could generate enough electricity in the Menchum Falls to light Cameroon. We do not even have electricity in Cameroon. How can we have industry if we don't have electricity? How can a country that has more hydraulic potential, more water, rivers, lakes, and access to the sea, how can a country like that not have water to drink? There's a problem. We've got to admit it. Every single Cameroonian looking at this program, if you do not rise up and act and demand change and elect a new leadership, because the problem is at the level of leadership.
Now, what has been the reaction of the international community to President Paul Biya's decision to run for office for an 8th term, and what implications will this have for Cameroon's relations with the global community?
Very good question, Immaculate. I think the world is those who are interested, of course, are in a state of shock. A lot of people outside Africa think, well, that's Africa, there goes Africa. So I think that decision by Mr. Biya has had an impact on Africa. My friend Jean-Pierre Bokolo wrote a piece, I don't know if many of you have seen it, in which he makes the case very clear about the very negative impact of that simple decision, not only on Cameroon, but on Africa. Because people throw up their hands and say, well, there they go again, the Africans. No, this small-minded clique that is in leadership in Yaoundé and around to the palace, from Chantal Biya to Ngongo to Ayolo and all of them, small-minded clique, they should please rise up for the sake of the nation and say we'll organize free and fair elections. I hope the team in Elekam will have the courage to save Cameroon. And I think they can. I was looking at Elekam and its rules and the people, and I think the rules are not bad. The people are not bad. They're actually very good. They're as smart as most Cameroonians. So Elekam, this is a call for you to do the right thing, please. We can, the world is not, the world is in a state of awe, of shock. Not shock, because a lot of people are not even interested. They're just saying, well, that's Africa. There goes Africa. But those who are interested, I don't know if you've heard or seen what is being said on television stations across the continent. Oh, the 93-year-old man wants another mandate. The 93-year-old man who cannot walk. The 93-year-old man who farts when he talks in public places. Look, let's stop making a ridicule of our beautiful country. And that's what we're saying. So what is the world saying? That's what the world is saying. The world is in a state of dismay. The Africans who are interested, they're in a state of dismay. Mr. Biya should not run. And I really hope that the president will not be a candidate. He will allow the political space to absorb new ideas, and we can then organize debates. We can have the candidates debate each other, knowing that when they go to the polls, the results of the polls will be pronounced as they have been registered by voters. I think we're going to have that this year. There will be change in Cameroon this year.
If I accept my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
And I hope, to wind up that Cameroonians will hear you, and that all of us will come together to work to find. We don't need a single candidate in the opposition. Let's just go to the polls and let the majority of Cameroonians vote whoever it is will be the next president.